I'm Darlene Ducharme, and I'm being joined by Nick Vides and Lauren Spates. And nice to have you here. I'm glad you could take the time and answer some questions for us about your exciting new project.
It's good to be here.
So you all produced a podcast, 4-part podcast that has now been picked up by NPR. Tell me how this podcast came to be.
Yeah, it started with a grant from California Humanities, which is a statewide organization that supports the arts, and they underwrite stories that aren't necessarily being told in the larger press. So we pitched an idea of talking about what happens to people, the human toll from repeat disaster, because typically the coverage is a lot about the economic losses and the environmental problems related to climate change, and we wanted to fill that gap.
Nick, what about you? How did you get involved?
So I got involved, actually, I was asked by the advisor, Anne, in about late December, or like first week of January, and she said, you know, do you want to be a part of this big idea that we have, this grant? And I just said yes, instantly off the bat. I just wanted to be a part of this. We didn't know what we would be creating at that time, but I knew that I wanted to be a part of it.
That's awesome. So this is about, you've interviewed a lot of people about the chronic disasters that we have that are due to climate change. How did you find the people to interview?
Yeah, the JC is a great resource for us in terms of sources. You know, we're here in Sonoma County, and the JC is a big institution, so there are a lot of people that were directly affected either by fire or flood that we know or are 1 degree of separation away from. So the human stories, the people who tell their stories on the podcast, we're connected to through the JC. And then for some of the experts that we spoke to, and you know, our sitting congressmen, Representatives Huffman and Thompson, we called and explained the grant and what we were doing, and they were all, you know, very pleased to lend their voice.
So how much was that grant?
It was an $11,000 grant.
And that covered all the podcasting costs?
It did, yeah.
It did, yeah. You know, most of it went into just the editing software that we used, and you know, for our own time working on this podcast. I mean, we've been working on it since February, from February to late September. So it's been a long journey, and I just can't believe where it's at now. Somewhat
tedious, but probably gave you a lot of satisfaction to finish this project, because it's well produced. I listened to some of it, and I'm totally impressed.
Thank you.
So where are you going from this? You have 4 podcasts. Would you do this again? I mean, on another subject?
We would love to, yeah. You know, I mean, the grant was really the driving force behind it. It wasn't really connected to classwork, so we would need to figure out a way to make that happen, but we would certainly love to dig into something else.
Yeah, and I mean, we've put our blood, sweat, and tears you know, into this. I mean, there were times where we didn't think that this was going to be finished. I mean, we've had so much going on in this, you know, in this year. I mean, we've each gone through our own little mini chronic catastrophe as you know, as the co-hosts, you know, trying to get this, you know, all together. But it's been so rewarding, and I mean, all my co-hosts are like, I mean, we're family now. I mean, we've been through so much.
Spent a lot of time together. Thank you both for being here. I really appreciate this. Again, this is on NPR.